All right. Hey, here we go. Hey, what's up, guys? We're doing a little impromptu live show. It's just me, TJ. We're gonna talk some nonsense. We actually were talking about some British comedy. We were talking about some Monty Python just now. My my guest in the studio right now is Jason, of course, Ralph Ellis. Everybody, let's see. Hey, all right. So what are we talking about now? Like, are we gonna actually talk about something that's like, okay? Give me a topic. Give me a topic.
Talk about anything, brother.
Let's talk about. Okay, so then let's talk about. Me and you have talked about this before. We've had a discussion about how you feel that morality is subjective. So can you give us a little bit of insight where you get that from, how you derive that perspective on it? And because me and you have talked about this at length and argued about it. So you start.
Okay. So it's not necessarily that I think that morality is subjective, which of course it is. It has to be. We have to make all of our own moral assessments. Okay.
All right. We'll start
at the bedrock, at the foundation, I believe morality is actually a well, it's kind of a evaluation system to determine what is good for the flourishing of our species. In my opinion, it's very anthropocentric, meaning, dealing with humanity. We do, of course, cast a little bit of a broader net, into things like animal rights, quandaries.
We'll put a pin in that because I have something to say about that. So yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Continue. Yep.
All right. So, but at the core of it, I don't think morality exists without one, agency, okay, and two, from our frame of reference, humanity.
Okay.
Without those two things, the universe is extremely indifferent, and certainly most species of animals, insects, or other living biological creatures, they don't seem to have any sort of moral system that we could identify. So again, just to kind of recap, from the foundation, I think morality, my position is, I should rather say, is that morality is it's relative. I would identify myself more as a moral particularist, but I need to restate for clarification that even though I think the particulars of a moral argument are where we arrive at our moral positions or our moral proclamations, okay? Underneath it, morality is factually relativistic. In this particular case, it's relative to our existence as human beings. And this actually can segue into conversations that we've had before.
Many times. Yeah.
About what happens when we find life on other planets, other beings that may have a morality that's not anthropocentric. Okay, it's not based on humanity. It's based on whatever their species is and whatever their biological necessities are, whatever their societies are. I know that seems very far-fetched to a lot of people, but
it doesn't seem far-fetched to me because I'm a speciesist, so I'm right there with you, dude.
Yeah. So the thing is for one, I don't think an objective morality can exist because first and foremost, there is almost always a contextuality to morality. Nobody has ever given me a moral proclamation or claim that cannot have some sort of, I won't say moral absolution, but I will say contextual permissibility.
So is this somewhat of a continuation of the Hitchens thing where he's like, you can't tell me a moral proclamation or something that said by a
believer
that can't be said also by an unbeliever.
Right. And what's interesting about that, okay, so first and foremost, what Hitchens was trying to do there was he was trying to show that there is no delineation between somebody who's never even heard of God, okay, generally adopts a moral code that aligns and is congruent with the rest of humanity, generally, okay? And the things that morality that religion tries to actually lay claim to in morality, usually it's things that have already been arrived at elsewhere without this religious dogma or edict. Okay, yeah. So for instance, like the Chinese, they knew that fucking murder was bad. Oh, sorry, sorry.
Dude, you can say whatever the fuck you want. You don't give a fuck.
It's cool. I know YouTube has some sort of algorithm for swearing.
That's fine, dude. We've already been demonetized. It's fine, dude.
Oh, so bad. Anyways, so the Chinese had already come to the determination that murder is bad. Okay, in general, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, we don't need a specific commandment being handed down from a purported divine authority to already arrive at that understanding. And that's really kind of what Hitchens was saying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's not that it's necessarily a continuation, because all that Hitchens is trying to say is that there's nothing within your religion that couldn't be arrived at without your religion. And still,
yeah.
What happens is the religious will usually come back with something like, there is no other God before me, right? Okay,
yeah.
That's not necessarily moral. There's not a moral component to me. That's a what that is that's a proclamation. It's just like it's a statement of fact, right? And you have to adhere to this, and they'll try to pin in or intertwine moral arguments into that, but it kind of goes back to the Euthyphro Dilemma at that point. Is it?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, you tell us what that is. Yeah.
Right. It's basically is a thing moral because God said it, or is it moral because God said it? If you believe it's moral because God said it, there's an entire theory behind that. It's called divine command theory.
Right.
And a lot of theists, they align themselves with that. The problem with that is basically that's how you arrive at people flying planes into buildings, blowing up abortion clinics, and doing all these other things. Because if divine command theory is true in any way, shape, or form, then anything is permissible or anything is actually factually moral, okay, so long as a deity has prescribed it.
Right, as long as the little God says this is what's moral, this is what exactly. Yeah.
So I mean that's pretty much that. But I guess for the audience's sake, I don't know if I don't know how many people are watching or whatever, but
I'm trying to get everybody.
Yeah, I couldn't see it either, and I really don't like ignoring comments in chat that are asking for clarification. But I can't see it. But I want them to consider this, and this is something that I brought up to you before, specifically regarding morality. All right.
Yeah.
So we get, I don't know. Let's say Elon Musk. He discovers anti-gravity, right?
Right.
And we thrust ourselves into the cosmos at faster than c, and we're now, whipping around doing donuts in the universe and finding other species to interact with. Now, this is a moral preponderance for you, okay?
Okay.
Let's say we fly to this planet and we find these people. They're called the Flargnar. All right? Just roll with it, right?
Yeah.
So we land, and everything seems to be fairly modern. Okay, they're roughly technologically equal to us, and they seem to be equal in most cases in morality to us. But we run into something after staying with them for a couple weeks. We're concerned with their or trying to understand the reproductive process. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So let's say that we get to this planet, okay, and they're discussing their whole reproductive planet or process to us, and it is a biological imperative, meaning that this is the way their race factually must reproduce. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Their children are grown. Okay. And they, once they reach maturation, they're able to leave. And this is going to get very uncomfortable for some people. I just want to let that be known right off the bat. Okay. But their children are grown. Let's say they're a plant-based life form. Okay. These Flagnar, these beings that we've arrived at. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, once they bud and they reach a certain age, they get prepared to drop off of their growth vines, right? Like fruits. Okay.
Okay.
Here's the thing. There is only a small window in the Flagnar reproductive system, okay?
Okay.
That allows for the males, okay, to locate the females, inseminate them, and then the semen is stored within the body for reproductive use later.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
We've come to understand these biological truths. Now, here's the thing. This is the way this species has reproduced for going on 1 million years. Okay?
Okay.
Now, let's say they have written history 750,000 years long. So they can go all the way back, tell you about, you know, it's this wonderful thing we've discovered. Now, here's the thing. When the fruit, these young Flagnar, grow to maturation, and just before they're ready to drop off of their growth branches, okay, they are essentially, to us, they have done to them what to us absolutely qualifies as rape.
Ooh.
Okay.
Okay.
So hold on. So
yeah. Okay.
This is, like I said, this is uncomfortable. So,
of course,
the problem is they have sentience, they can feel pain, okay,
right.
And they have a sense of identity and independence where they do not want to be violated, okay?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But this is the very brief window in their natural birth cycle, and like I said, this is going to get really uncomfortable, but I want it to because I want people to think about these things.
Okay.
So we show up to this planet, and from our anthropocentric position,
yes, the human-centered ideal, yeah,
is completely immoral.
Yeah, I mean,
but what they're doing is biologically necessary. And thus has
to their biology, to their species.
Yes. All right. Now, I'm not saying that we can't say, hey, look, we found a way to minimize pain or to post whatever their biological function is to drop off. Right?
Yeah.
We can introduce healthy semen, so now there's no longer a violation of the individual. Now, you and I, right, we see that and we go, man, that's horrible. That is absolutely grotesque, right?
Yeah.
Like our position. But that's the thing about morality, okay? And here's the thing. If you are a moral relativist, okay, and you are or a moral particularist.
I think that's where we part ways, though.
Well, you can adapt to these situations and you can understand that this anthropocentric view is not necessarily all of morality.
No, but I think, but you know that I think that morality is necessarily a function of a species, a species that's thinking introversely. Like, I think that a morality only has something to do with the species as it pertains to itself.
Yes, that would be my argument as well.
Yes. Okay. So so we would kind of agree that, like, if we.
I'm sorry, just real quick. We could identify a Flagnar moral framework
doesn't include humanity.
And contrasts it to a human moral.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, which is why morality is relative. It has to be relative to have any utility, right?
And I think it has to be relative to the species that you're talking about, though.
Right, exactly. And here's the thing, and actually we were talking about it pre-show a little bit, but Matthew Bell is a wonderful example. Like, I don't even really
an example of an asshole. Yeah, okay.
He's a wonderful example of this in work, right? Because here's a guy who claimed to have a divine morality. Okay?
Okay.
Not only that, he was using said divine morality to justify things that any normal person with a consideration of human empathy, okay, and a consideration of what a child is, and that we are their stewards, and they are young, and that they are naive and ignorant to these things.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not. They're not. What would you call it? Property. They're not property of their parents. Yeah.
And it is our job as their elders to ensure their protection. Okay. That's the way that I see it. I know some people don't see it that way, but here's the thing. Even the majority of the people who don't see it that way, okay, they would never do what that fucking guy did. Okay.
The majority wouldn't, yes.
Exactly.
The majority would not, yes.
Exactly. And I would argue that is, well, particularly, I don't know if you've ever heard of Bakabazi. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay. Here's an example of divine command theory. It really depends on your take of Islamic denomination, whether you're Sunni or Shia.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Gotcha.
But there is we used to see, okay, this is where things get a little more grotesque again, but this is just an example of religious moral permissibility.
Okay? Permissiveness, yes. Okay, I get it, yeah.
Okay, so there's something that we used to call Man Love Thursday.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
And this is when you would see, and this is not a joke, a tribal or nomadic elder take one of the younger men, put him in his sleeping bag, and have sex with him.
Okay.
And within Islamic, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's like permit certain things, yeah.
Right. If they look it up, they'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But it's not mainstream Islam. I only witnessed this action with.
Well, how much do you consider things that are in the Hadith? Like, how much do you consider that mainstream Islamic doctrine?
Oh, dude, I don't even know if I want to get into a whole discussion on.
I don't even know, dude. I don't know.
Okay, so there's a specific split within Islam that defines the Sunni and the Shia based on what they consider a specific hadith.
But there were only two.
Muhammad or not?
Only two of them, right?
Primarily, yeah. There are several different schools. There's like 7 or 8 different schools, but categorically, there's usually you're either Sunni or Shia.
Okay.
Okay. Get some clarity from
I have no idea, dude.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've studied all of this before. I've actually had heated conversations before, but this hasn't been my focus for like the past 3 or 4 years. So I'm a little muddy on it. I'm murky. But I do know that Bakabazi is a thing, and this is an example of it's from their position. It is actually a religiously permissive act. Okay.
Okay.
So, and here's the thing: it doesn't take religion for this to happen, right?
No, yeah, it takes basically the what do you call it, the tolerance of religion, doesn't it? I mean,
yes. If you believe, okay, so this goes back to an argument or a position that I hold that a lot of people take issue with, and it's this: believing that you are the expressly interested thing of the creator of the universe is
Yes.
near the it is near the absolute pinnacle of narcissism.
It is very arrogant, yeah.
It
You're the most important thing that the deity has ever fucking conceived of and is imported with. Yes.
Yeah, and not only that, it is expressly interested in you and everything that you do.
Right.
It's the most narcissistic thing that people of faith do, and some of them they don't realize that they do it. Okay.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't realize I was doing it when I was knocking on people's doors at 5 p.m. on a random Thursday because I was doing missionary work.
Yeah, you were an evangelical Christian for
I was a fundamental Baptist for a long time, and I very devoutly believed. So the thing is, though, is how conceited do you have to be? And I was, in my case, I genuinely was. How conceited do you have to be knowing that it's 5, 6 p.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go knock on somebody's door and interrupt their meal because you purportedly have a message from the divine creator of the universe for them.
Yeah, and who are you to speak for that creator, right? Like who decided that you were the best and only person that was supposed to speak for the main dude of the universe?
Yeah, exactly. So I think the only thing, and this is usually where atheists come back, and this is probably where I would have come back as a theist and said, well, if you kick God out of the equation, you're just making yourself God.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I have no delusion of grandeur that I am the pinnacle of all beings in the universe. I'm a speck of sand. I'm nothing but a biological turd on a speck of sand.
On a pale blue dot. Yeah.
On a beach, on a beach of sand, on a planet of sand, a universe of planets of sand. I am that insignificant. And that's one of the most poisonous things that I think religion does. So the thing is when you combine those two things with divine command theory, right? Yeah. Divine command theory and this narcissism that God is telling you to do so, you get people flying planes into buildings. You get the abortion bombs, you get all these things going on. And that was really Hitchens' main point, I think.
Yeah, science flies you to the moon, religion flies you into buildings.
Yeah. I mean, that's the short of it. That's
a lot. Yeah, that's the short version.
And bandied about, But yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it, man. But that's the way I look at it. And a lot of people, they're very uncomfortable with the idea that morality is relative.
I think even as an atheist, I'm a little bit uncomfortable with that. I mean, because we've had our discussions about it, and I've expressed to you how I feel like that's not the case. But it's not like that I can necessarily say that you're 100%. I'm 100% certain that you're wrong about it. It's just that, man, like I think that it's worth talking about. And yeah, I think you make a very very good case as to why you think things are relative, and you know what, like I think the same way because I'm a speciesist.
Yeah,
I think in the same vein as that, but there are like minor, like miniature points that we kind of disagree on. But like you generally don't necessarily, contradict things that I think are common sense. So it's not like, I'm like, oh, I'm totally against what you're talking about. Like, I think that a lot of the things that you're talking about, like, really make sense, but there are minor minutia points that we could talk about, that we could argue about. But I mean, those are really very, very minor. So
right. Let me give you another example here, actually, for the viewership to swallow a little bit. So let's pretend, just for brevity's sake here, that there is a cardiopulmonary affliction that goes around the world. And of course, you know, the CDC and some of the best minds in the world, they try to wrap their minds around what this thing is, put it under a microscope. But the problem is that it is killing our young and our infirm. Okay.
All right.
So this disease is actually transmittable via the mother and child through I don't know the biology of it. I'm sorry, but the uterine lining or whatever. It crosses the placebo barrier or whatever it's called, right? And infects the children. Okay. Now, when they're still attached to the placenta, they seem to be okay. But the moment that they're born, right, as long as they're screaming and kicking and everything and their heart rate remains high, they live.
Okay.
Now, once they calm down, there's a problem. They start going into an extremely low state of cardiopulmonary arrest. Okay, not full on arrest, but like literally their blood pressure drops, their heartbeat slows. So infants by the millions are dying.
Okay.
And this is the preponderance we're looking at now. And this is just something for your, you know, the audience to mull over and consider. So nobody can figure out what the hell to do about these kids dying, right? They're trying to treat the elders too, but the problem with the elder is you can't keep their heart rates up because their hearts are weak from, you know, many decades, nearly a century of living, right?
Yeah.
So the focus tends to turn to the children. All right. Now, again, let's have some more discomfort with our conversational salad tonight.
Okay.
All right. So it becomes the case that children are given to their parents and then allowed to die.
Okay.
Right? Because there's nothing that medical science can do. They're working diligently on it. CDC's pounding away on it. Everybody's pounding away on it. But for right now, there's no answer. Okay? So they give a child to a parent, right? And this parent is happening to carry capsaicin around with them, pepper spray.
Okay.
In their pocket, right? They live in a really bad part of town. Everybody's down about everybody's babies dying. Society is kind of in a very distressed turmoil, okay, because of these events, obviously, right?
Okay.
So when she is holding her baby to say it's her final words to it, right? It accidentally bumps this capsaicin or mace canister and sprays the baby with mace.
Okay.
All right, because it was clipped on the outside of the shirt. Maybe they're a security guard or something. Make up your own fantastical story about that, okay?
All right.
So, baby starts screaming from the capsaicin, right?
Mm-hmm.
In enormous pain, all right? But the baby doesn't die. For the next 20 minutes, the baby is still screaming. And the mother and the father stare at the baby in awe. Their child is still alive. Okay? Here's where things get a little more dark. All right? The physician, the attending physician, and the nurses, they immediately come to an understanding of what has just happened. It wasn't the chemical itself, it was the pain resulting in the heightened cardiopulmonary state keeping the child alive. Okay?
Okay.
So the doctor, a rather house MD fellow, runs over to the child, looks at it, takes a stethoscope, listens to the heartbeat, right? And he notices the heartbeat starts to plummet again, right? After they get rid of the capsaicin, maybe pour milk or something in the baby's eyes, right? I don't know if you know that, but that's how you can get rid of a capsaicin. Anyways, so so the doctor takes out his I don't know, his pen or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he pricks the foot of the baby. The baby starts screaming again because it hurts, right? Heart rate goes up. Baby lives a few more minutes. All right. Now keep in mind, every baby up to this point, born in the past 30 days, has died. Okay. Give birth, they come sliding out the canal, they whine, and as soon as they calm down, the moment they calm down, their heart rate plummets and they die. All right.
Wow. Okay.
It's a horrific thing for a parent. I'm a parent. All right. So trust me, when
Yeah, it sucks.
I'm like, oh God, you know. But so the doctor, he immediately has a working theory. He grabs a needle, right, or one of those, maybe like a one of those TB tacks. I don't know what they have medically that would, you know, work real well for this, but basically just something to prick the baby, right? So he pricks the baby again. Baby stays alive for another 5 minutes, right? So this is now literally something like 30 minutes past the original time that children factually die.
Yeah. Okay.
So this doctor, he knows what's going on, right? He immediately designs a you know, the incubation beds, the beds that they put kids in, with a robotic arm that essentially, and here's the catcher, tortures the baby. Okay? What else would you call pinpricking the baby to cause it pain?
Acupuncture?
You're intentionally causing
Torture?
pain.
Yeah.
Right. Most people would call it torture, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's various different, they come up with various different methods, and they figure out that if you can keep the baby breathing and its heart rate up for at least 12 hours postpartum, it lives. Okay. Now, the moral quandary is this. Is there a contextual moral out? And this is, I promise you're not going to see me like come out as like some sort of like baby.
No, dude. Look, I can already answer this for you. We already what do we call it? Shit. Not oh damn it. We already generally mutilate children that causes them immense pain after birth.
That's true.
So what would be the difference in causing an infant, you know, some other kind of immense pain to keep them alive?
I know this is going to seem,
you know what I'm saying? Like it seems like.
But if you were an adult and you just saw that this Dr. Schmeckler or whatever his name is, right? I just said Dr. Schmeckler if we were talking. That's hilarious. Anyways, so they see this guy. Now, most normal people would understand that this person is giving this child a life that would not have otherwise happened, and returning a live child back to parents who were fully expecting it to be delivered and die. Okay? So this is the moral quandary you're in. Now, for most of us, it's not a moral quandary.
No, yeah, because we already do something similar.
Right. We already understand it. There is a contextual reason. Yeah. And I try to explain this to people, and they don't get it. They don't want to hear it. Right now, I can almost guarantee if somebody is watching this, what they're going to see is there's going to be people saying, "Oh, you would advocate for torturing children, man," and it's like, hey, listen, if it keeps the child alive,
right? Yeah. What's ethically more like viable?
right?
Yeah. I mean,
It's kind of like when you give a kid a shot, right?
yeah. Because you're causing immense pain in the moment to a child, but yet you're giving them an immunity to a very life-threatening illness that they could possibly contract.
Your kid will not die from the measles.
Yeah, exactly. Your kid could die from the fucking measles, but yet in the moment you're giving them a very uncomfortable, painful, shot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and these are the ways that we justify things. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Even people who would have, say, what they would call a moral objection to the quote unquote children, the moment the child slid out their birth canal, put it in the machine.
But we also but in response to that, I would also point to the point that we tend to shy away from subjecting humans to cruel and unusual punishments, or cruel and unusual. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, like how you would.
Okay, but if we were to think about the moral specifics of those situations, okay, then it depends upon whether there is a justified.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, like, why are we doing that specific thing?
Right.
I get it. Yeah, it's not to necessarily continue their existence. It's to like impose a deterrent or a moral deterrent upon them. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
It's kind of like, you see people, they think about Guantanamo Bay, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And they're like, hey, scientific study and research shows that, these torture techniques, the waterboarding and whatnot, doesn't work.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Reasonable person, right? Like if these people were plotting to blow up, and kill 10,000 more people.
Wouldn't it make sense that we would try to get them to like not do those things based on like some kind of like deterrent method? Right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
The person in return would recognize that if these techniques don't work, then why do them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? If somebody came to me with scientific evidence saying, and I'm open to these things, I'm open to them, and I think anybody should be, but if they came to you with evidence, right?
Yeah.
That these things were not having the desired effect,
then you would discontinue them. Yeah, I mean,
right. The moral understanding you would then have is that this is ineffectual, and the only thing that we can identify is that it is actually causing a person immense physical pain and torture.
Well, then I get that, but some other people would contend that, even if it did, do the ends justify the means in that situation? And should we engage in those things for the simple fact that it ends in less people dying, even if it is to torture someone?
So my argument to that would be this: the majority of the people that are actually tortured, say in Guantanamo Bay, okay?
I'm totally
like this. Do you remember did you ever see the video of Saddam Hussein being hung?
Yeah, I remember.
Morally, the only thing, this is my opinion, because remember, I think that morality is relativistic.
Yes, and I do too, only in a fucking species-centric framework. Okay. But yeah,
it's fine. Okay, but here's the thing. You'll notice that there was very little objection to hanging Saddam Hussein. Okay, or to
very little. Yeah.
Or to shooting Uday and Qusay. And do you know why?
No.
Because it's their previous actions and their continued behaviors.
Okay. Because there were things that they did that people were had continually like rejected. Yeah. Okay. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, there are people out there who would label themselves as pacifist, or, you know, maybe some form of pure humanist who thinks that, you know, all life is worth saving.
Even if it's fucking ridiculous, fucking shitty life, yeah.
Even if it results in, you know, say the gassing of the Kurds, which is something that Saddam Hussein did.
Or the gassing of, well, how about the gassing of the Jews?
Yeah, I mean that too.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean,
those people will not fucking shy away from saying that we should fucking do inhuman things to Nazis.
right.
But anybody else? Yeah, exactly.
You will run into some small subset of people who are like, oh, you know, peace and love, man. But the problem is, as a realist, as a practical realist, right?
Yes.
That's not reality.
That is not reality. Yes, exactly.
Like, believe me, I would be the first person out with a hugs and kisses gun if it stopped people from hurting other people, right?
But you actually got to recognize some actual like aspect that's fascistic and utterly like destructive to human human life. Be punch an actual Nazi. Don't punch somebody you just fucking disagree with. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just be like, oh, I think that you're a fucking fascist. Therefore, I will punch you if I see you. Fuck you, dude. Yeah, you better be fucking punching actual fucking Nazis. People are actually fucking killing people. And the people that a lot of the fucking far left ideologues are fucking up in arms about are not people that are actually doing destructive things to humanity.
And are typically targeted by those who are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing. But here's another thing to consider is, and this is a problem that I hate to put it this way because it sounds, I don't know, man. It sounds kind of narcissistic, but I'm so sorry it's evolving back to this, man. But because I kind of wanted to avoid it all night, but it's something that I think that the paramilitary and the military understand far clearer than the normal population. The regular population, by and large, has a disassociation with the proximity of mortality.
Well, that's by design, though. I mean,
it's not really, because if you go back to the 20s and the 30s, right? Here's the thing. If people are dying around you from disease, from warfare, from I don't know, shooting each other in the streets, this is a reality that you become accustomed to. And if not accustomed to, you're at least forced to acknowledge.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, society, by and large, has eliminated large swaths of these negative behaviors, whether it's through medical intervention, you know, like inoculations. We can thank medical science for that, right? Whether it's dietary availability and changes, right? So society right now is at the best. This is something that Joe Rogan actually says on occasion.
Yeah.
But I think he's right. I think he's right, and I think many of the doctors and professors that he's talked to are right. Society right now is the best in recorded history that it has ever been.
I'd agree with that.
Okay, so the thing is a lot of these people are completely disassociated from the reality of the proximity of mortality. And what I mean by that is obviously how near death is.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, a combatant, a law enforcement officer, a paramedic, a surgeon, okay?
Okay.
These are people who are faced with this, well, at all, in some cases, compared to much of the population. Okay? So what happens is you have these people who are completely disassociated from this concept, right? Okay. When they come back, for instance, a lot of service members come back, okay? Law enforcement officers, obviously not excluded from this. They come back from their shift or from being deployed. And the first thing they realize is that, yes, that person walking funny down the street who looks like they have a shotgun under their coat
probably has a shotgun under their coat.
Might actually have a shotgun under their coat, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is the normal, citizen usually just kind of looks and goes, huh, that looks weird. Or maybe they are like, oh, maybe they have something under their coat. But they're not really thinking in those terms because they're disassociated from it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, like, here's the thing. Like, Jim's revealed in the past on air that he carries, right? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the reason for that is a distinct acknowledgement of reality.
Yeah, it's the constrained theory of reality, not the unconstrained theory of reality. Thomas Sowell actually pinpoints this in the sense that the unconstrained person says, oh, there's a certain thing that's gone wrong or awry in society. Let's just make a law. Let's just get people together and decree a thing, right? But the constrained person says, hey, look, there's a reason why these things are occurring in reality. It's because certain things about human beings are immutable and unchanging, and we need to recognize, and innate, and we need to recognize those things, and we need to stop acting like they don't exist. That's the constrained person. They actually recognize those things, and I mean, I totally understand what you're talking about with that.
Yeah, the reason I'm bringing that up, and this all kind of sort of comes full circle in a way, is that people by and large are disassociated with certain factual facets of reality.
Yeah.
Society and humanity.
Yeah.
They live within this social contract, right? Which is like, like the society.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent.
It's a social contract. Here's the thing. It is up to the individual to adhere to the social contract, but there is obviously a response from the whole if you decide to secede from the social contract or society.
Yeah, if you recognize that like certain things are just fucked up and you don't want to adhere to that because it's like that has no value for you, that holds no value for you at that point. I mean,
but I guess I think we were talking about the whole fascist thing. Okay, so getting back to that, because I kind of want to do a full circle back here. A lot of people who are accusing others of being fascist, they have no fucking clue what a fascist society or government.
Either that, or they're claiming someone is a fascist while exhibiting fascistic methodology.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great comedy, of course. You want groups like Antifa and all that. But here's the thing. Like, I understand some of the. So some of the issues that they take seem to be just wholly contrived, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just baseless, senseless, fucking posturing. It almost looks like some of them are just looking for something to do, something to be outraged about, something to have as a cause, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is sometimes there is actually some value in what they're saying.
Yeah, sometimes they don't realize that what they're actually onto is actually something, but they're not going. They're like acting as if the ends justify the means, but they don't get that the kind of society that you end up with are the values that you espouse during the formation of that society. So if you get to a certain point in society and you say, okay, look, this is we're good with this, and this was great, and we got here, and we've done it. You don't get those people don't get that the way you got there, the methods that you used are gonna be the exact fucking values that your society is going to be based on. So if you got there based on fucking revolution and fucking not giving a fuck about anybody's rights, and you trample on everybody else on your way to get to your fucking utopia, you're gonna be just as fucked when you get to your utopia as you were when you were trying to fucking get there.
I'll tell you that it will definitely be the crushing blow to individuality. It will be. I mean, to have an utopia, you can't really have free range.
You have to build your society based on the values that you lead with. If you lead with values that don't give a fuck about individual freedoms and responsibilities, then you're gonna fucking have a society in the end when you get to where you want to be. Even if you got to where you want to be on your utopian fucking values, you're still going to be stuck with the way you got there. And if the way you got there was to trample on people's fucking freedom of speech and free reign and free fucking liberties, then you're going to be stuck just as much in a fascistic society as you were fucking fighting against to get there.
Yeah. I think the answer to all of this is to figure it all out and to understand, first and foremost, from all sides and all angles, that we are still figuring it out. That's it. If we can sit and have discussions, use I don't know, man. The democratic process is iffy because it's basically whoever is represented in numbers, whatever their opinion is.
But that's the great thing about a constitutional republic.
Exactly.
And that's one of the great things that our founding fathers foresaw, and they were like, you know what? This pure democracy thing, it might be a bad thing.
Yep.
And they recognized that because they knew that in a pure democracy, the majority would tyrannize the minority.
That's true. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they set it up to where we wouldn't repeat those same things that the French fucking went through in their revolution. They were like, okay, so we can't do that, right? We know that we can't just set up a pure fucking mob rule. Mob rule sucks. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like they purposely fucking set shit up so where we wouldn't have to fucking be we wouldn't have to fucking be.
That just cracks me up, man. Is people think that the 200-year gap between now and then means that they were 100 IQ points lower.
No, they knew. They foresaw this shit.
It's like these guys could probably crush more philosophy, logic, and math than you can. The only reason you think you're better is because you could pay with an electronic chip at Starbucks for your latte.
The only thing that they fucked up on is not foreseeing the crony capitalism that has emerged.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
The money in politics that has emerged.
This little oligarchy that's kind of
exactly
government.
That's the only thing that they didn't have the fucking foresight to fucking
this level of implemented capitalism has never been achieved before.
No, yeah, we never got this far. That's why they never thought of it. So because they're like, man, who knew that we could get this? Yeah,
exactly. And it is what it is. But I mean, it's not like we can't legislate, things into lockstep as it needs to be. It's not really happening because, of course, now the special interest is, holding the reins on top of Capitol Hill. It's a little hard to dismount them from their seat.
Yeah.
But it's not like it can't be done.
No, we could actually institute a parliamentary system, maybe like the UK or Canada or something like that, where there's not necessarily just two specific parties that rule all the political discourse, and where there's actually however many political distinctions you want can be very viable political voices in your country. And that's the way that a lot of other countries do it. We're like one of the only countries where money in politics is a big, huge factor. And
Yeah, that's true. That's a problem. It's a very distinct problem.
it is a big problem, man.
That, and there almost seems to be viability in other countries, like Britain, for example, for other parties to emerge.
Yes, exactly. We saw that with fucking UKIP and Brexit Party last general election in the UK. So, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I keep my eyes out looking abroad, you know, and there's definitely, like, I'm not one of those people who's like, you know, believe me, I am inherently patriotic, you know, USA and all that. But at the same time, we're not perfect. And when I look outward at these
but you know what though? Somebody very wise said it a long time ago. You know what? Democracy is the worst government system devised ever on the face of the planet, except for every other government that's ever been devised on the face of the planet.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like we've done it better than anybody else has up to this point. So
who said that? Because that sounds really.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember who it was, but it was like Payne, maybe Thomas Paine or somebody like that. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. That's the funny thing is the framers, they were definitely known for some very straightforward critiques and comments about what they were doing. If you go through like the Federalist Papers, and you read them, you know, in the Anti-Federalist Papers, it's just amazing, like how clear cut they were making their positions, right?
Well, and the funny thing was too is that the Articles of Confederation, the initial government that this country was set up on, was pretty much an utter failure, and we went back to the founders went back to the drawing board, and they said, you know what, this isn't working. This is a bad system. How can we improve upon that, and how can we make everything like come out to where the way we want it to be, completely secular, without any kind of like religious influence, without any kind of political majority, political oligarchy or whatever. And so, you know, it's like we took this idea and we had a bad idea to start out with, and we even improved upon that. So it was like even better than what we even first fucking thought it could be. And we made it even better. So,
I definitely wish we could go back to E pluribus unum. But you know, another thing that's interesting about the framers, and this is the part that really gets me about a lot of theists, especially when they espouse this, you know, we are a Christian nation thing.
Oh, yeah, that bullshit. Yeah.
It's like, man, if you take literally just 5 minutes out of your day, just 5 minutes, and go read what many of the framers thought, in particular about the Bible, you know, and about religion, and about, you know, the reasons for which this country was founded, literally just 5, maybe 10 minutes max. Just do a little light reading. I mean, you can't help but understand how ignorant that claim is. You know, that like, is our population, was it comprised primarily of Christians? Yes, Quakers and Puritans.
Fine, yeah, I'll grant that all day long. There were Christians. There were a lot of Christians that founded this country, but they didn't found it on Christianity. They founded it on the idea that anybody that came here that was trying to get out of or escape from religious persecution could come here and be whoever they wanted to fucking be once they got here.
And much of that driven, obviously, by King George III. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, then there's Henry VIII, the implementation of the Church of England. Right.
Yeah.
So there's ancestors who were recently, you know, their recent generations had been dealing with this issue. Right. And then they come over, and then they're dealing with colonies. You've got Puritans here, Quakers there, and they don't tolerate each other.
That was the only fucking thing that happened. It was that. They had once they got here, they realized that there were a lot of factions within Christianity that were really powerful, and then all the colonies had their own specific sect that was fucking basically ruling that colony.
And that's all it is human tribalism. And back then, with so much scientific ignorance, and there was amongst the general population a scientific ignorance.
Yeah.
Your core identity was really religiously based.
Yeah.
So whoever believed as you did, you could sit and have conversations and reinforce each other circularly about how pious or right your belief was. That's who you hung out with. That's the way it worked. And that's something that the framers definitely wanted to avoid.
And it's kind of funny too that they were so segmented.
Yeah,
that's almost what concretely ensured separation of church and state was these fragmentations of Christianity within the colonies. It's like it's like the framers and the early governors of the nation were like, we're so fucking against you guys being at each other's throats. We're just gonna say, hey, stop being this fucking fragmented, and everything is about no religion.
Yep.
So just stop it right here. Like,
great. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean,
no, I'm cool, dude. We've talked about a lot of shit. So yeah, I mean, I think we've been at this a couple hours. So.
Hey man, I have been looking and I don't see any live notification or anything.
It says we're broadcasting, so I don't know if we got taken off of live, but I mean it'll be a pre-recorded at any rate once we get done with this, so it'll be fine. It'll be posted no matter what. So
that's cool. Yeah, I was just hoping maybe for some interaction, or at least I could read some people's ideas, and their thoughts in the chat.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too, but I think maybe we didn't get it. I think maybe Jim might have taken us off public or something like that. I don't know what happened, but yeah, it was definitely recorded because I have a big red button in the middle of Hangouts that says stop broadcast. So
Right.
I know for sure that it's going to be at least pre-recorded and going to be posted to our channel. So
yeah, I mean that's a bummer that it's not doing live, but that's all right.
I know, but hey, I got to talk to you, dude. Like, I fucking love talking to you anytime I get to talk to you, dude.
It's good, man. Yeah, I like talking to you too, man. It's good conversations.
Fuck yeah, dude. If you gotta go, man, let's try to do this again soon. We'll do a live hangout at some point again and talk about some more stuff. And
maybe next time we can talk about Area 51.
Yeah, fuck yeah, Bob Lazar, right? Like you wanted to talk about that shit. I know you wanted to talk about that shit.
Storm Area 51 thing that's going on.
All right. Hell yeah.
Funny. But
yeah. Definitely, dude. Yeah, fucking anytime you want to talk to me and hang out, and we'll talk and we'll go live anytime you want, man. So all right, man.
Later, everybody.
Later. Bye.